Hello again, folks. Mark Merrill with Firm. The new United States government breeds success. We're reporting just after November 26, 2024, about breaking news stories over the last 24 to 48 hours. And it's very important not only to the entire country, as you already know, Donald Trump being busy filling his cabinet posts, but also the state of Maine. Lots of things going on, some of it's not very nice. We still have a dictator, deflectocrat, Janet Mills, in the Blaine House, the governor's mansion. And these two right here, all of a sudden, have decided to face off against each other. A perfect example here in the state of Maine of, you've heard the phrase already, eating their own. Who you see here is District Attorney Maeghan Maloney, and she's planning to challenge Attorney General Frey, currently in office. Why? Well, she thinks she can do a better job of taking down Donald Trump. Sad, isn't it? And we have better things to do, like to cut our taxes, have some kind of reform, instead of being angry and pissed off all the time at our political opponents. That's as far as I'm going to go for it, folks. The rest of this program speaks for itself, per our research here at Fairness in Reporting Media. As of November 26th, early in the morning, there will be at least two candidates for Maine Attorney General. Kennebec County, Somerset County District Attorney Maeghan Maloney, she represents two counties, has announced that she will challenge sitting Attorney General Frey, a fellow Democrat. In a letter to the legislature, Maloney outlined her priorities, including collaborating with the legislature, focusing on child protection issues at DHHS. Really? And working to continue to fight the state's opioid crisis. Mr. Frey cites his work as a partner and collaborator in the legislative process and detailed state lawsuits targeting big corporations. Both Maloney and Frey are former lawmakers, and if elected in the state's chief law enforcement officer's department, that is, they promise to fight against Republican President-elect Donald Trump. They just don't know when to quit, do they? While they both mentioned Trump in their letters, that also was a key point of difference. Ms. Maloney's letter noted that Frey is termed out in 2 years. The lawsuits opposing the Trump administration, she said, and his agenda must continue for the length of the administration. Once again, the lawsuits opposing the Trump administration agenda must continue for the length of the administration, she wrote. WABI TV from the 26th of November. Isn't that just friggin' lovely? More hate. While we're trying to turn this country around, we get more bickering within. More bickering within. Is it going to accomplish anything? Hell no. We've already had enough of Janet Mills. Abortion anytime, anywhere, any place. Allowing migrants and illegals to come in here and take over our colleges and some of our biggest city in Portland, some of their buildings, before the mayor finally turned her down and said, no, you don't. Screw you, Janet. Get out of our town and leave our business alone. Just keeps adding up with these people. Mr. Trump's got his hands full. But I'll tell you what. He's still with us. And he's the president-elect by over 75 million people who voted for him. Not these bozos. Power-hungry mongrels. That's what I want to call them. You got a problem with that? Email fairnessandreportingmedia@gmail.com. Anytime. Let's discuss it. Now, after that one, folks, we have just a little bit of new information that we're going to pick up for you here. And we're going to tell you all about Club for Growth. As you can see, part of it right here in front of you. The organization Club for Growth is a nonprofit, but on the national level, based out of Washington, D.C. And getting to the details of it here, folks, it's a national network of over 500,000, 500,000 pro-growth, limited government Americans who share in the belief that prosperity and opportunity come through economic freedom. It is the leading free enterprise advocacy group in the entire country, and the statement goes on to say they win tough battles and have enormous influence on economic policy. Club for Growth is the only organization that's willing to and be able to take on any member of Congress on policy who fails to uphold basic economic conservative principles regardless of party. Bipartisan. Hello. Let's get back to that. Something I think the majority of the United States people can agree on for a change. They pinpoint key bills up for debate in Congress every single day. They exert maximum pressure on lawmakers to vote like free market limited government conservatives, and if they don't, Club for Growth holds them accountable by publicizing their voting record. We'll publish and post, contact information for Club for Growth if you'd like more information, folks. It's open to the public for newsletters and notices. Now, next up, folks, a recent occurrence in the news came through the offices of, or the CEO offices of Walmart. It seems that good old Wally World across the country here has decided that, you know what, we're not doing DEI anymore. To hell with that. Walmart plans to cut back some of its DEI initiatives, diversity, equity, and inclusion, according to a spokesperson for the organization. A growing list of firms feeling the heat from conservative groups. But Bloomberg News reported this story, that Walmart will no longer consider race and gender to boost diversity when granting supplier contracts, and that eligibility for financing will not be assessed based on suppliers providing certain demographic data. Gee, about time, huh? They will scale back racial equity training, stop participating in rankings by an LGBTQ advocacy group. That's the best news I've ever heard. And they will review its support for Pride and other events, according to the report, which is about within the 48 hours we're talking about. And a spokesperson for Walmart confirmed Bloomberg's report. Walmart will now join the other large retailers out there like Starbucks, JP Morgan Chase, and Ford Motor Company that have modified their policies of DEI over the last year in response to pressure. Walmart's move follows a post from X on conservative activist Robbie Starbuck, who disclosed the DEI policy changes at Walmart before the Bloomberg report. Starbuck said he had written to Walmart a week before about doing a story on wokeness there, but ended up having productive talks on DEI with the retailer instead. Starbuck has examined and confronted companies over their employment policies. Ford, Lowe's, Harley-Davidson, tractor maker Deere & Company, and brewer Molson Coors are among companies that have said they would end some diversity policies after being targeted by Starbuck, according to Financial Times, which interviewed the activist back in September. So there's that one, folks. Now, some fantastic information here, and we do apologize a little bit here for our graphics. Donald Trump's charges have been dropped, ladies and gentlemen. Best news we've heard in months, if not a year. The judge overseeing the January 6th election interference case against President-elect Trump dropped charges on November 26th, following a request from Special Counsel Jack Smith, who similarly moved to dismiss charges against Trump, accusing him of illegally retaining classified documents after leaving office. In filing, Smith said his view of the case remained unchanged, but called the Justice Department's long-standing legal perspective that federal prosecution of a sitting president is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court already ruled on that, folks, months ago. In the election interference case, prosecutors allege Trump conspired to interfere with the 2020 election and obstruct the official certification of electoral votes. No. Charges were brought last August of 2023, maybe 24, but it doesn't say here, with the trial delayed by a legal challenge in which the Supreme Court, as we said, ultimately ruled former presidents have some immunity to criminal prosecution for acts in office, but Smith subsequently refiled updated charges 10 weeks ahead of the election. In a related story, this is published by the 1440 organization, Trump said yesterday evening that he would look to impose 25% tariffs on all goods. That evening is November 26th. On all goods coming from Canada and Mexico, and additional tariffs on Chinese goods on his first day back in office. Think this man means business? I kind of think so. And as we show here, folks, all of this news is all about this. Something the left doesn't care to deal with because it's too close to the truth. And as you see with the Israeli flag, folks, the biggest item coming over the wires to our East Coast on November 26th at 4 a.m. Israeli time, 9 p.m. Eastern United States time. Israel and Hezbollah have come to a ceasefire deal in Lebanon. President Biden called for a similar ceasefire in Gaza to end the suffering there and said Hamas has a choice to make. In their case, the terrorist group must release hostages, including Americans among them, to end the fighting and bring about a surge of humanitarian relief. This deal was reached after Biden's envoy traveled to Lebanon and then Israel to confer with the Lebanese parliament speaker, empowered by Hezbollah to negotiate on its behalf, and then with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. This is amazing right here, folks. Netanyahu's office said the Israeli cabinet approved the deal 10-1. The deal, which does not cover, as mentioned briefly here, the Israeli-Hamas war in Gaza, would reportedly include a 60-day Israeli withdrawal from southern Lebanon and Hezbollah fighters move north of the Litani River. The Lebanese army would monitor the border in a process overseen by 5 countries. Led by the U.S. and France, Israel could continue to take military action to disrupt Hezbollah's ability to smuggle weapons and reestablish a border presence. Hezbollah renewed its conflict with Israel back in October of 2023, as we're all aware of, launching thousands of rockets and killing many people and taking hostages. Glad to hear on that one, folks. It's about time that we had some kind of negotiations and ceasefire going on with the enemy. And they will be monitored. Lots of other information floating across in the last 24 to 48 hours, folks. We call it our program the new United States government breeds success. And so do some of the organizations around our country, as you've already heard. Under science and technology, folks, a couple of items that are certainly important as we move on. And, of course, you know who Elon Musk is. A chip maker, NVIDIA, has debuted a Fogado an artificial intelligence, AI, model that creates audio from text prompts and can modify existing songs. And it's explained at the 1440, and we'll give you their link for their website for more information. Neuroscientists, involving Mr. Musk here, pinpoint brain circuit responsible for the rejection of mating partners by female mammals. Elon Musk's Neuralink to launch feasibility study of brain implants, which can also control robotic arms, is currently going on. One brief one we don't like to report on very much, folks, because we're not an expert here at Firm as far as the business or the stock markets as they go, but this sounds quite important to the overall American public when it comes to energy resources. Blackstone has invested $3.5 billion in United States natural gas company EQT, gaining a minority stake in Mid-Atlantic pipelines, and is expected to see a surge in demand amid expected growth of data centers powering AI. So that's good news. And some final information here, folks. There's some news items that we felt were worth passing along to you here on Firm. We thank you for joining us. All about the new United States government, Trump's elected officials, or not elected officials, but officials that he wants to run the government in his cabinet. Elon Musk, of course, being one of his closest advisors. But under the title of Etc. and the 1440 news organization, Warren Buffett, you may recall as a positive billionaire who's not as woke as George Soros. Actually, he isn't at all. Warren Buffett actually is, believe, the president and CEO of Hathaway Corporation, which at one time, believe it or not, here in the state of Maine, a big influence because Hathaway Shirt Company was once based in Waterville, Maine, over 150 years ago. Quite prosperous. But Mr. Buffett has advised parents to preview their wills. With all the fallout recently coming from, of course, woke and transgender and the LGBTQ push, which now looks like it's taken a back seat or maybe has been knocked down a few notches thanks to organizations around the country, major corporations, on DEI. Couldn't agree more with Mr. Buffett. Unfortunately, in New York State, where Kathy Hochul claims to be a fair and balanced governor. Really? She mandated now recently to have adultery decriminalized. Was she trying to be Hollywood East? Yeah. And now for some lighter notes, folks, in the history books. Abolitionist sojourner Truth died back in 1883. The National Hockey League was founded in 1917. Peanuts creator Charles Schulz was born in 1922. King Tut's tomb was uncovered by a British archaeologist Howard Carter in that same year, 1922. And singer and actress Tina Turner was born in 1939. And some final thoughts here, folks, from 1440. Life is like a 10-speed bicycle. Most of us have gears we never use. Good one. Thanks again, folks, for joining us here on Firm, Fairness in Reporting Media. Mark Merrill, as always, your host. Check all of our podcasts anytime at rumble.com/fairnessmedia1, Twitter, YouTube, and as we said, email us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com, fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com. As always, we ask you to stay safe in the coming holidays. Peace to all.